How's it going, everyone? There have been a lot of headlines lately about American Eagle stock increasing quite a lot since their new ad with Sydney Sweeney has come out. And pretty much all of the articles that I've seen about this miss a very important piece of information. And to not consider that piece of information is a very common error and a pretty rookie error to do in data analysis. So I want to show you what that piece of information is and how it changes the picture. Now, I'm not here to give you financial advice. I don't own any American Eagle shares.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans.
And I'm not an expert in the stock market, but I can claim to be an expert in mathematics and data analysis, and that's what I'm here to talk about. So let's get into it. Now, to those unfamiliar with the ad, I'll show you a little bit of it just so you can see why it gained so much publicity, both negative and positive publicity, for the company.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing.
So that was one of many commercials with the same actress and the same kind of style and joke at the end.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Some people really liked the ad and some people really didn't like it, but it's the publicity that the company got and how it affected its stock price that we will be focusing on. If we look at American Eagle stock for the past month, it's been hovering around 10 until Wednesday, July 23rd, which is when I believe the ad campaign with Sydney Sweeney came out. And right there we see a rise that you see on your screen. It goes from around 10 all the way to around 12, which is a 20% jump. Then we have this small dip, and then it gets even higher, even above 13, and then just wobbles around 12 point something, right? As of the making of this video, it's around 12.6. So it increased by more than 20%. Now, for a stock to increase by more than 20% in about 2 weeks, that is actually a really big growth of a stock, and that's very impressive. Now, of course, we can't tell, is this because of the ad with Sydney Sweeney or is it a coincidence? But even if the initial rise was for some other reason and then people started pointing out, oh, after the new ad, the stock started growing, then people start paying attention to the stock and they start buying it because of that. So it could be for both reasons. But here is the piece of information that pretty much everything I've seen leaves out. This is for the past month. What happens if we look at the past year? The stock has been gradually dropping the whole year, and it's been dropping by a lot. It started off at somewhere around 20 a year ago and became somewhere around 10 just 2 weeks ago. So it lost half of its value in a year. But as you see, this is not a smooth decline. It went down with periodic upward bumps. And you see those bumps here. You see another bump that went all the way into 12.7 territory on May 13th. And here we have this other bump following the Sydney Sweeney ads, which looks like it's a bump approximately the same size. So it could just be that the stock is continuing to go down and we're just facing another upward bump on the road down when we look at the big picture. But not necessarily. There is reason to believe that this upward bump is not just an upward bump on the road down. And here's why. We see this gradual decline with upward bumps, but look what happens in the month leading up to the Sydney Sweeney ad. It's flat. It seems to have flattened out and stopped its decline, at least temporarily. And some investors might look at that and think, oh, it's not going down anymore, so maybe it'll go up, so maybe the stock's on sale, maybe it's a good time to buy it right now. So some people even without the ad drop, even without the extra publicity that the company is getting, some people will look at that flattening out at the end of a big drop, and some people will think that that is a sign that it's a good time to buy. And so you could have a bump like this, like what we saw in the last 2 weeks, without any Sydney Sweeney ad, without any extra publicity for the company. Now, even if a bump like that happens, it doesn't mean that the company is going to reverse course in the downwards drop, right? It could be that it's been dropping and dropping and dropping for whatever reason, then flattens out. People think, oh, now it's a good time to buy. They buy, it grows a bit. A bunch of people think, oh, this is easy money. They sell right away with a bit of a profit, and the stock just keeps on going down. Or it could be that it's been dropping for whatever reason, but it's dropped too much. It flattens out because now it's undervalued, and it actually will continue to rise and get to some stable higher number. That could all be the case without the extra publicity from the Sydney Sweeney ad. And we could be seeing two effects at once. It could be that people were considering that it's a good time to buy because of that low price flattening out, and some of them were ready to buy for that reason, and then the ad came out and the company started getting even more publicity, so people started looking at the company when they would not have looked at the company otherwise, and so even more people saw that it's a good time to buy. Plus, some people might have bought it just because they liked the ad. And so for all of those reasons, the stock could have been climbing for reasons related to the ad and not related to the ad. And then once people saw that it started climbing and all the publicity about it, then they started buying it just because it's already started climbing. So it could be a combination of many factors. But whatever it is, it still does not tell us whether this is an upward bump on a continuous road down. People are going to sell soon, make their easy money, and say bye-bye, and the stock keeps on dropping, or if this is actually a change in direction. The stock has been undervalued, and it is now going to go up and keep going up until it reaches some other higher, more stable value. We just don't know that. But seeing the bigger picture, zooming out, and seeing the more long-term trend is a very important piece of information. And of course, it could be either way. It could be that the short-term trend is a minor anomaly as the long-term trend continues, or it could be that the long-term trend has come to an end and the short-term trend is not an anomaly, but a sign of what is the new long-term trend to come. Only time will tell, and jeans isn't the only thing that American Eagles sells, right? So there could be other forces at play here. Genes do not determine everything. See what I did there?
You see what I did there, right?